In this video, we'll be looking into more problem solving involving sets, but this time we're going to look into problems that involve 3 sets. So we've already discussed problem solving questions involving 2 sets, and if you haven't watched them already, I recommend that you do so, as that will help you understand these questions better. You can find the link to the previous problem solving videos at the top right corner of your screen or in the description below. So let's get started. Information on 20 customers who bought items from a certain stationery shop is as follows. There were 8 who bought pencils, 11 who bought pens, and 13 who bought books. So we can clearly understand that the 3 sets that we're going to work with are the set of people who bought pencils, and the second one is the set of people who bought pens, and the third one is going to be the set of people who bought books. So let's go ahead and name them. So I'm going to say the set of people who bought pencils as set A, set of people who bought pens as set B, and set of people who bought books as set C. So let's name them here. Set A, this as my set B, and this as my set C. And from what they say, we clearly understand that there were 8 people who bought pencils. Now, as we've discussed in our previous videos, we know that this 8 talks about the total number of values that belong to all 4 of these regions. Because all these 4 regions belong to set A, which is the number of people who bought pencils. So this 8 is going to be the total of the individual values that is going to fit inside each of these 4 regions. So at the moment, since we can't fill that information in the Venn diagram, let's say NA is 8. Let's just write that down. And likewise, 11 who bought pens, so NB is 11, and NC is 13, number of people who bought books. So it says, of the 6 who bought pencils and books, 4 did not buy pens. Alright, so now let's focus on this statement very carefully. They say, of the 6 who bought pencils and books, 4 did not buy pens. That means there were 6 people who bought both pencils and books. And among these 6, 4 of them did not buy pens, right? Which means the other 2 out of the 6. So if 4 did not buy pen, the other 2 also bought pens. Which means that 2 bought pens and also bought books and pencils. So those 2 people are the people who bought all 3 of them. Which means this 2 will fall over here, right in the middle, because that's the region that belongs to the set A intersection B intersection C, which means people who bought pencil, pen, and book. To understand this better, let's try and figure out the regions of this Venn diagram. So let me draw a rough sketch. Alright, so that's a very badly done sketch of the 3 circles, but I think that will do. So let's go ahead and try to find out the different regions in this Venn diagram. As usual, let's start with the middle region. We know that this is the set of people who bought pencils. This is the set of people who bought pens. And this is the set of people who bought books. So the region that is overlapped by all 3 of them should be the region that belongs to the people who bought all 3 of them, pencils, pens, and books. So let's write that down. Green shading is people who bought all 3. Okay. And now let's work our way out. Let's think about this region over here. This is the overlapping between pencil and pens, which means this region involves people who only bought pencils and pens and not books, right? So this region is people who bought only, the word only, that's necessary, pens and pencils. And similarly, this region over here is the region that belongs to people who bought only books and pencils, right? So people who bought, I'm running out of space, so I'm just going to write here, people who bought only pencils and books. Pencils and books. And likewise, this region is the number of people who bought books and pens only. So I'll just say books and pens only. Books and pens only. Now if we go further outside, we have this region. And this region talks about pencils only because it doesn't have an overlap with the set pen or with the set book. It just talks only about pencils. So that is the number of people who bought only pencils. So this is only pencils. And likewise, if we go to this corner, this is only pens, right? So this is only pens. And then this one is only books. So this one is only books, the slightly darker blue. That's only books. And the outside region talks about people who did not purchase any of these. So the outside region over here, a very lighter green. This region talks about people who bought none of those, as in they might have bought something else, but not pen, pencil or books. Now that we've identified the region, let's go back to the question and try to see which region is the question talking about. So from the question we understand of the 6 who bought pencils and books, 4 did not buy pens. So if 4 did not buy pens, as I mentioned, 2 bought pens. So those 2 are the people who bought all pencil, books and pens. However, this 4 over here, these 4 people did not buy pens, but they bought pencils and books, which means these 4 bought pencils and books only. Now if you look at the region that says pencils and books only, that is this very light blue region over here, and that is this region, right? So that 4 will fall into that region. So let's continue the question. They also say that there were 3 who bought pencils and pens and 3 who bought only pens. Now remember, they said 3 who bought pencils and pens. They didn't say pencils and pens only. So if we look into the overlapping region of the set pencils and of the set pens, we understand that overlapping region is this region that I'm coloring in black here. This region over here, right? Because that is the overlapping between pencils and pens. So this 3 over here talks about the total that will fall into this region and this region, the yellow region and the dark green region. But we already know the dark green region is 2, which means this region, the yellow region, has to be 3 minus 2, which is 1. Great. Now finally we only have one more information to take into account. That is, they have also said 3 who bought only pens. This very dark blue region over here, that is what you call only pens. So that is this region. So 3 falls into that region. So now we can fill the rest of the Venn diagram by using these information that were given at the beginning of the question. So the first one says NA equals 8. That means the total number of people who bought pencils should be 8. So inside the set pencil, if you see, the only unknown region is this region. And we can fill that region by using that information because we know the total has to be 8. There is already 1 plus 2 plus 4, which is 7. So that has to be 8 minus 7, which is 1. Likewise, in B has to have a total of 11 that only has 3 plus 1 plus 2. So 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, which means to make 11, this has to be 5. So that's 11 minus 6. And finally, NC should have a total of 13. It already has 5, 2, 4, altogether 11. So there should be 2 more to make it 13. So now that we've filled all the region inside the 3 circles or the 3 sets, we only have the outside region left. And for that, we need to know the universal set. And we know what the universal set is. They've already said that the information is took on 20 customers. So this 20 has to be a universal set. That means the total number of values that belong to all the region should be equal to 20. So to find the number that falls into the outside region, let's add up all the values that we have found so far. So that's 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 5 plus 2, which is a total of 18. Which means the outside region should be 20 minus 18, which is 2. Now that we've filled in the Venn diagram, let's go ahead and answer the questions. Question 1 says, how many did not buy any of these 3 types of items? And we've already said that people who bought none of these are the people who are outside, which is 2. So the answer to that is 2. How many did not buy pens? Now, did not buy pens is basically a complement, right? Because A is pens, so whoever who did not buy pens is a complement. So that's basically everything outside the set A. So the numbers that are outside the set A is 3, 5, 2, and this 2. If you add them up, that's 3 plus 5, 8, 8 plus 4 is 12. So the answer to that is 12. 12 people did not buy pens. Okay, now for the last question, it says, what percentage of all the customers bought at least 2 of these 3 types? First of all, let's identify the region where customers bought 2 of the 3 types. And that is actually these 3 regions. These are the 3 regions that indicate the total number of customers who bought only 2 out of the 3 items. But if you read the question, it doesn't say customers who bought only 2 of these 3 types. It says rather customer who bought at least 2 of these 3 types. That means the customers who bought all the 3 types will also be considered under this question. Because the word at least means a minimum. So they should have bought minimum 2 out of the 3 items. Which means those who bought all 3 of them will also be an answer to this question. And therefore, this region in the middle where customers bought all 3 will also fall into this question. So these 4 regions, right? That's basically 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 4, which is 12. But that's not the question. They're asking what percentage of all customers. So 12 is the number of customers who bought at least 2 out of these 3 types. But to find the percentage, you will have to divide 12 by the total number of customers in this question, which is 20. This gives you the fraction of the customers who bought at least 2 of these 3 types. So to find the percentage, you multiply this by 100, which gives you 60%. So 60% of the customers bought at least 2 of these 3 types. And that's how it's done. Hope you understood the question. But before you leave, I want you all to take a note on this question. Maybe take a screenshot or write it down. And try it out by yourself. And if you wish, you can put your answers in the comment below and I will check your answers out. So give this question a try and I will discuss this in the next video. Hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you found this video useful, hit the like button and subscribe for more similar videos. Also, please feel free to comment below if you have any questions or if you have any topics that you want me to discuss in my next videos. So see you soon.